Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe have insisted over and over that no classified information was discussed in the Signal group chat. But I want you to watch what happened to that argument under questioning today by Democratic Congressman Jason Crow.
I want to direct your attention again to the text chain where it says, just confirmed with CENTCOM, we are a go for mission launch. Does that indicate to you that there is about to be a military operation?
Yes.
The Office of the Director of National Intelligence Classification Guide says, quote, information providing indication or advance warning that the U.S. or its allies are preparing for an attack, end quote, is to be classified as top secret. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Director Gabbard, have the Houthis indicated an ability to shoot down American aircraft?
Yes.
They have in fact done so, haven't they?
Yes.
Including MQ-9 Reapers, haven't they?
That's correct.
And that was one of the systems used in the attack recently that's the subject of this discussion, is it not?
Correct.
Here now, retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath. She is the founder of the Democratic Majority Action PAC, and Reed Galen, who's worked on a number of GOP campaigns, and he is now president of the JoinTheUnion.us and host of the Homefront podcast. It's great to have both of you with us. Amy, I'll start with you. You used to fly combat missions. The administration and these principles, as you heard, say no service members were put in danger or harmed. But as we just saw in that clip, the congressman points out the Yemenis, certainly the Houthis, have the ability to shoot down our aircraft with their surface-to-air capabilities. Give me your read on the situation where U.S. service members potentially put in harm's way.
U.S. service members, pilots, sailors were absolutely put in harm's way. Here's the thing. And no planet is the launch times and time on target times for a strike package not classified. So to say that this information is somehow not sensitive is just completely ridiculous. If those times were to get to our enemy, basically they then know that they can protect themselves. They can then counter, as was already stated. They have integrated air defenses, that enemy that we attacked that night. The very existence of the attack itself is sensitive and classified. And then to add on the times of the launch, it just, I got to tell you, the last 48 hours, I've had so many people that I flew with, my old squadron mates, text me, email me, call me with the WTF. We all know how sensitive this information is. And for Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, the National Security Advisor, everybody on this text chain, they either know, they should have known, and if they didn't know how sensitive this was, they should be fired.
Reed, when you look at the latest NBC News poll, it seems like most Americans were, unhappy with Trump's appointees before this scandal. You have to wonder how that polling will be affected after a scandal like this, for the very simple reason it is the core of the national security team. And this is pretty dangerous stuff that we're talking about here. It's reckless, but also very dangerous for service members and our national security.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. One is, let's be clear, no one was nominated by Trump because of their qualifications. Right. In fact, the exact opposite, because they were patently unqualified for these jobs. To have been a former Republican and see members of a Republican administration like Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel sitting at the witness table is an abomination, not only to the Republican Party, but to the American form of government and national security. And what Amy said, look, Amy was an F-18 pilot. These are the planes that she flew and she and her comrades flew. And to me, this is the kind of thing where, there's that line from All the President's Men, right? These are not bright guys and things got out of hand. These idiots are going to stumble into something they can't get us out of. And they're going to put a lot of young men and women who are already in harm's way in more harm's way. Do we think that the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians already don't know where our carriers are?
Right.
So, like anybody with a map, and a pencil can figure out where an F-18 might be at some place along that flight path. And the idea that these idiots are just out there, and look, I know some of the people on this text chain personally, and I have to be thinking that they're at home tonight doom scrolling, wondering how they got themselves here.
But how do you think this is going to land with the American people, certainly those who voted for Donald Trump? I mean, he uses the word witch hunt and hoax, and we've seen them attack the journalists and attack the journalism. Right. They've made this about everybody except their own accountability and their own faults, even though they did acknowledge it. How does that land? Or are we just so siloed off right now as a country with information streams that people will just watch Fox and see the other side of this and just think, hey, no big deal?
I think it might be a little bit more than no big deal, but here's the one thing is that certainly they will not blame Donald Trump for it. They will blame everyone else before they'll blame him. I think the other part, too, is all of the other things that this administration is doing to harm individual Americans. Right. There are people who are already hurting, who are worried. I met a young man last night in Florida. Right. He's got cerebral palsy. He's worried about the Medicaid funding he gets for his therapy and the equipment he needs, just that he and his mom need to live. Right. All of these people who are looking at maybe Medicare and Social Security cuts. You know, the USDA just cut $1.5 billion in funding to school lunches and local farms and food pantries. So I think that there are a lot of Americans who would otherwise be very worried and concerned about this, who are frankly trying to figure out how they're going to make it through tomorrow.
Amy, a lot of the principals included in this chat have said that this is a political distraction from the success of the Trump administration. Let me play for you Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan pushing back on this notion, and she added this.
When I served in the military and I served in classified environments, had this happened to me, I would have walked my resignation in immediately. This is not okay. Communicating these sorts of things in Signal is not okay. Targets, times, those kinds of things are absolutely classified, and we all know it.
And we also know, Amy, that there is a hypocrisy here. If this would have happened 6 months ago under the Biden administration, we know that so many investigations by Republicans would have been launched by now. Do you think these officials will feel that pressure at any point and be held accountable at any point?
You know, that's hard to say, because every time I think that there are Republicans that will care about our national security and step up and do the right thing, I am consistently disappointed. However, I will say this. This will really hurt our national security leadership right now, especially with the military. You know, a lot of people aren't talking about this, but one of the things that these leaders could have done was just own their mistake. If it was, in fact, a mistake, and, you know, we can debate that, you know, what Pete Hegseth could have done was come out and say, you know, we screwed up. Those of us that have served in the military, we understand that to some degree, although what Chrissy Houlihan has said just there is spot on as well. But he didn't. You know, Pete Hegseth came out, and what did he do? He lied. And that is just an affront to everybody that serves. And so we talk about things like character and honor and integrity in the military, and then we just see the guy that is in charge of us completely lying about what it is he did, that he knows is wrong. And I think that's really going to hurt the respect among the ranks. And I also think that that might break through to the American public, because a lot of people have served and know people who have served. We know how important that is.
And to your point earlier, Reed, these are people who are appointed by Trump. If this would have happened to people any lower level, people that were not appointed by Trump, we know by now they would have all probably been fired or certainly held accountable. But because these are Trump loyalists and he handpicked them, he's going to ride or die with them.
I think so until it. And, well, listen, let's be clear. The only people that MAGA hates more than you and me are each other. So the knives are out for Mike Waltz. Yeah. Maybe he survives. He probably survives. But let's be clear, like, they're all unhappy. Yeah. They're all trying to figure out who ultimately is going to get the blame.